Hello everybody, my name is Marlo, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you some of my Minecraft 1.18 survival base ideas. Part 2 of the Caves and Cliffs update is quickly approaching, so now is as good a time as ever to start thinking about what you want to do when it comes to building a base in your world. Whether you want set up down in the new cave generation or up in the overhauled glorious mountains, all of these ideas are going to be tailored to both of those aspects of 1.18. Just a quick disclaimer before we begin, none of these survival bases are fully finished. They're all quite large and it would be too time consuming to complete them entirely. So I've just put together a first draft, or a concept if you will, just to plant the idea in your head, which you can then take onwards and expand upon. So they're not completely done, but hopefully it'll be enough to get those creative juices flowing. We're going to start here up in the mountains with a castle, specifically a blackstone castle. Now I absolutely love the contrast between the bright white snow and the blackstone here. It really does grab your attention. There is just such a difference between these two blocks that your eyes just immediately go towards this build. This is a little bit of a weird looking castle too. It's not really that symmetrical, and if you wanted to go for something maybe of a more symmetrical style, take my ultimate castle survival base as an example here. It's very square and geometric, which works better for some people. Honestly, it works better for me too, but this one I wanted to try something different out. We got varying Y levels, not the same towers in every corner, just doing something a little bit different. And if I carried on with this build and this style, and like I said, covered more of the mountain, it would be one of my favorite builds I think I ever would have done, honestly. But as I've said, time is sort of a factor here. Maybe that's something I can save for my own survival world when I start one in 1.18, which is going to be happening, by the way. I'm going to make a brand new survival series here on my channel, so if you are new and you're not subscribed, please feel free to do that. I have some really cool ideas for that series, some of which are not in this video, because I want to keep them secret. Can't be giving all of my ideas away now, can I? So, as for the interior here and the courtyard of this castle, it's obviously very much so unfinished, but of a castle this size, I think there's actually plenty of room for everything you would need for a starter style base maybe. Of course, expansion could take place, but maybe you could have an enchanting room in this tower, a storage room in the slightly larger tower, and maybe this could be your house of sorts. Currently we're snowed out for this, but yeah, your bed and stuff could go in here possibly, and then you can use the walls to get around to all of them. For the next base, let's head underground, specifically to the Lush Caves biome. This is one of my favorite features of the new update. I think these are absolutely beautiful. The moss block is wonderful and looks great when paired alongside deep slate. The whole green environment here really reminded me of the Shire in a weird way. So this next base idea is going to be, what if the Shire was underground in a Lush Caves biome? So pretty much the idea with this one is you have a bunch of different styled hobbit holes going into all of the walls of the Lush Caves biome here. I've just found a nice closed off one, so I'm kind of shut away from all of the other caves around me. Now it's quite dark inside of here, so I'm going to have to give myself some night vision effect, but that's going to create a load of annoying potion bubbles, so I'm going to turn my particles off. But before I do just want to show off the beauty of the spore blossom here. It creates the most wonderful environment and atmosphere, which is just perfect for a base like this. I cannot wait to get my hands on that block right there in 1.18. So as you may have guessed, the concept with this base is inside each of these hobbit houses, inside of the wall, you would have some different aspect of a survival base. So maybe this one could be for potions, this one for enchanting, for storage, a bedroom, so on and so forth. You get the idea. Obviously, the bigger the cave, the more hobbit holes you can have, so I guess really the size of this depends entirely what point of the game you're at, and if you can find a good Lush Caves biome. They are surprisingly hard to come across. Another part of this survival base which I quickly want to touch on is the fact that we haven't just stuck to one block palette. We have a range of different blocks here, which really makes it look that much cooler, I think, instead of maybe just sticking to 3 or 4 blocks and having the same sort of hobbit hobbit holes all the way around the sides here. We've got a whole variation of a bunch of different builds. Maybe you could even theme the exterior here to what's on the interior. Say you're building a hobbit house for your nether portal, you could use some nether blocks to decorate the outside here. Heading back up to the mountains with this one, and specifically to the peaks of those mountains, this idea is pretty simple. Basically, you have a bunch of houses and other buildings dotted around the mountainscape, all connected with bridges and pathways, so in the end you get this ever-expanding mountainside base. Which mine is not. We've only got 2 buildings here, but hopefully it's enough to give you an idea of what it could look like. Thankfully, around this side, we actually have a naturally generated village, so if I stand all the way back here, you should get a bit of a better idea of how this could potentially look if you had some more builds dotted around the mountains here. Now, this is an idea that I myself am quite tempted to try out in a survival situation. I just think it's a really cool concept for even just a starter base, honestly, something very simple, maybe just having a handful of other buildings dotted around, let's just say 5 in total, all connected with these bridges and pathways just up on the beautiful mountains here. I basically just want to live in the mountains. I think they are absolutely gorgeous. I am in love with this terrain. I've just taken a step back and tried to envision what I would do if I was to expand upon these 2 houses, and I'm thinking I would have a house over on this peak, maybe another one down here and flatten the terrain a bit, and another maybe farming area or something similar to that on this flattish part of the mountain, and we could have some bridges going across here over this gap, a kind of curved archway bridge going up there, and then just a simple little pathway down to the bottom. This is actually getting me quite excited. You may see something like this on my channel at some point in the future. Plus, how cool is it living right amongst all of the clouds? For the last main build of this video, we're heading back down underground, this time to a regular caves biome. But there's nothing really regular about this new cave generation. It is absolutely monstrous in the best way possible. We have these huge, wide open spaces underground, and because of that, I had the idea to build something a little bit dwarven inspired. So whilst these caves are extremely cool, they're also extremely hard to build in, which is why I've come up with the idea of basically walling off an entire section of a cave. So I'm making use of these pillars that naturally generate in a lot of the cave biomes. I'm not sure where specifically, but you see them so frequently, and kind of incorporating them as natural pillars to kind of hold up the cave above inside of your base. So as you can see, I've kind of connected a wall going all the way around from pillar to pillar and closing myself off in this nice little area here, where inside of here you could create your dwarven inspired survival base. Basically a bunch of different buildings in a dwarven style that all have something helpful for survival. You could even make a dwarven city if you gave yourself enough room to actually work with, but that does take a while, and believe you me, I've done something like that before in the past. Of course, you would have to make sure everything inside of the walls is well lit, and when you're actually placing down the walls, you don't leave any gaps for mobs to get to you elsewhere. I haven't really done a great job of that, but like I've said multiple times before in this video, it's just the concept and the idea of this that really is what matters for this particular video. But if you're doing something like this in survival, make sure you can create an actual safe space here, because you really don't want any mob spawning inside of your survival base. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is the idea of creating a 2-in-1 base. If you're anything like me, you're going to want to build in both of the mountains and the caves, because all of the new generation is just too exciting to ignore. So you could do that very simply using bubble columns. So if we just take our Blackstone castle here as an example, all you would have to do very simply is find a spot inside of your mountain base to put something like this in, a bubble column and also a water drop. So when you're ready to go down to your cave base, you would drop down here, the water would break your fall, and there you are. You're in, hopefully, a more interesting cave than this one. And when you're done down here, ready to go up to the mountain base, you just hop in the bubble column, and just in a matter of seconds, you're back up on the top of a mountain. Obviously, depending on how deep underground you are, it might take a little bit longer than that. So there we go, everybody. There are 4.5 survival base ideas for 1.18. I really hope these have helped you out and given you some ideas of your own. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.